Greetings! In this video I'll be painting a Centurion from the Lunar Wolves Legion, based on the colour scheme that the 16th Legion used during the Great Crusade, prior to their rebranding as the Sons of Horus. I've used a normal Mk.II set of armour for this guy, with the pauldrons being 3D printed. Some information about that's in the video description. Beyond that, there's not much to the build of this guy. I went simple with the build to match the reference, and I primed the model black, then undercoated it with grey Seer, so you can use a grey Seer spray primer if you have that and want to follow along. But I will be painting over this colour, it's just to speed up the first few steps. Onto the painting itself now, starting with a few passes of Ulthuan grey to form the base coat for the armour. This paint goes on pretty easily, and when thinned a tiny bit, it doesn't get chalky like some brighter white paints do. For the next colour, I used Black Legion, standing in for Abaddon Black. This was used for the pauldron trims, the crest on the helmet, the undersuit details, the weapon casing, and one of the knee pads. It looks fairly messy right now, but it's not hard to clean up later. Just blocking everything in gives me a better picture of what needs doing anyway. I also used this colour for the Legion Armorial, mostly off camera though, so I could get a closer view of what I was doing. There's a few wires around the model and I didn't want them to stand out too much against the white, so I've used some muted colours, starting with Corn Red. The eyelens was also painted with this colour, as I wanted to try a darker red this time around, going closer to the reference instead of the usual glowy effect that I do. Wordbearer's Red was next, applied over most visible and easily accessible wires around the model. The Mk.II power pack has lots of little tubes which I've also painted red, but there's no need to go this detailed. The last step for the red was using some Tuskgor fur on the eye, applied in the very middle. It's not very bright, and hopefully it looks good by the end when everything else is finished. I briefly went back to Black Legion to clean up some undersuit bits, before switching to Corvus Black to do a thin layer over the larger black surfaces. This consisted of edge highlights that expanded down the surfaces a bit. Next was Eshin Grey, further emphasising the edges of the black details to a finer point this time. To prepare for decals, I used some gloss varnish on the knee pads, going fairly simple with the markings this time too. On to metallics now, starting with Gunmetal Grey for all the metal bits. The Mk.II armour has cables on the legs, and reference material disagree whether they should be metallic or black. I prefer the silver look when the model is mostly non-metallic, but I can see myself switching to black if I was, say, doing iron hands. To highlight the Gunmetal Grey, I used some Duraluminium, basically just going over most of the previous silver, but leaving the recesses or bits that are in shadow as the previous colour. For the bronzy colour shown in the reference, I used some Balthasar gold, applied over any skulls on the model, the exposed cartridges in the Phobos bolt pistol magazine, and the frame for the crest. I think this is the closest colour to the reference in Citadel's range, though I was considering using model colour copper instead, or even using a red wash like Berserker Bloodshade over it. I then went back to Ulthuan Grey to clean up a bit, namely around the wires and around the helmet faceplate. After I finished cleaning up, I applied some decals off camera. I went with the Legion Armorial and a Raptor Imperialis marking. I used the old Horus Heresy infantry transfer sheet for these, and I'm disappointed about the noticeable pixels on the Raptor Imperialis. With all the paints and decals applied, I used some black enamel paneliner as both a pin wash and an overall grime filter. This makes the model look a lot more three-dimensional, helping those recessed panel lines stand out in a scale-appropriate way. As the effect darkens the white armor significantly, it can have some ugly transitions. I got a cotton tip with some enamel thinner and softly removed enamel from the more accessible spots. I think this helps for a cleaner look whilst also keeping a believable amount of grime. I don't want it to look like the armor is corroding, but just a little bit of wear and tear, and also the darker panel lines. With that finished, I waited for the enamel to dry enough, and then I applied my usual basing method. I painted the base rim black, and sealed everything in with some ultramatte varnish. And here we have it! A Centurion from the 16th Legion, the Lunar Wolves. I'm super pleased with this paint scheme. It felt really quick and easy, and the hardest bit was just the wires and highlighting the black. Though I did make those wires harder for myself by picking out every single tiny tube, which are mostly not noticeable by the end anyway. During my time painting this one, I was planning on going back over the white after the enamel with either Ulthuan grey again or a brighter white, but I didn't want the armour to look like it was pure white to start with, and I was happy with what you see here enough to stop. I think there's something in that, knowing when to push yourself to try for a fancier finish, but also stopping when you're just happy with the result, despite knowing you could do more. This would be something that people who do large batch painting sessions or other armour painting techniques often do. But it's something I imagine many struggle with, as it might not meet their bar or whatever your standards for a finished model should look like. I honestly think this paint job's great, and yeah, I could do better, but if I was doing 20 Legionaries like this, I'd be super happy seeing the group of them together in this game. It took me about an hour and a half from start to finish, which includes staring blankly at it for some time, though it doesn't include the time of doing the decals and the base. I think that's pretty good, considering my usual time being twice that when filming. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this scheme in the comments. Do you think this scheme sounds as simple as I think it is? I've seen a heap of videos about painting over the years, and there's often a blur between what the creator thinks is simple and what the viewers think. Like, oh, I just applied 3 glaces of 1 part this, 2 parts this, 1 part thinner. Pretty simple, guys. Yeah, simple for them maybe, so yeah, let me know if this is truly as simple as I felt it was. Otherwise, that's all I've got for this one. I hope you stick around for the next one.